The divorce papers landed on
can't be
Olivia's
right.
hospital bed
There
with
has
a
to
slap
be some
that
mistake.
echoed through the sterile room. She stared at them, her 4 drips still attached to her arm, pain medication making everything feel surreal. Her husband of 8 years, Liam, stood at the foot of her bed, his face cold and distant, like she was a stranger and not the woman who'd stood by him through everything. "Sign them," he said flatly. Olivia's hands trembled as she tried to process what was happening. "Liam, I just got out of surgery. I almost died. Can we please talk about this when I'm home?" "There's nothing to talk about. I want a divorce. I'm done carrying your dead weight." Dead weight. The words hit harder than the car that had crashed into her 3 days ago. Olivia had been on her way home from work, exhausted from another 60-hour week, when a drunk driver ran a red light. She'd woken up in the ICU with a ruptured spleen, broken ribs, and her husband's secretary sitting in the visitor's chair instead of him. "Where were you?" Olivia whispered, her voice cracking. "I've been here for 3 days, Liam. 3 days, and you didn't come." "I was busy." "Busy? I could have died." Liam's jaw tightened. "Stop being dramatic. You're fine. The doctors said you're fine. Now sign the papers, so we can both move on." Olivia felt tears burning her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Not in front of him. Not when he was looking at her like she disgusted him. Move on to what? To who? He didn't answer, but the slight twitch in his eye told her everything. There was someone else. Of course there was. "How long?" Olivia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "That doesn't matter." "It matters to me. How long have you been cheating on me?" Liam sighed like she was inconveniencing him. 6 months. "Are you happy now?" "Vanessa understands me in ways you never could. She's sophisticated, successful, ambitious. She doesn't spend her days pretending to work some meaningless job while living off my income." Olivia's blood ran cold. Meaningless job. Living off his income. She almost laughed at the irony, but the pain in her chest, both physical and emotional, was too overwhelming. "Liam, we need to talk about something," she started, but he cut her off.
No.
"We don't. I've made my decision. Vanessa and I are getting married next month. We've already put a deposit on the venue. I need you out of the house by the time you're discharged." "Next month? You're getting married next month?"
Yes.
"So sign the damn papers, Olivia. Stop wasting my time." Her hands shook as she reached for the pen on her bedside table. Every part of her wanted to scream, to tell him the truth, to throw her financial statements in his face and watch him choke on his words. But something stopped her. Maybe it was the pain medication. Maybe it was shock. Or maybe it was the quiet, burning rage that was starting to build in her chest, hot and fierce and clarifying. She signed the papers. Liam snatched them up before the ink was dry, not even looking at her as he turned to leave. At the door, he paused. "I'll have my lawyer contact you about the house. Since you contributed nothing financially to our marriage, you won't be getting anything in the settlement. Consider yourself lucky. I'm not asking you to pay me back for supporting you all these years." Then he was gone. Olivia sat in the silence of her hospital room, staring at the place where he'd stood, and something inside her shifted. The woman who'd spent 8 years hiding her success, downplaying her achievements, making herself smaller so Liam could feel bigger. That woman died right there in that hospital bed. If you're already hooked, make sure you hit that subscribe button because this story is about to get wild. The nurse who came to check her vitals found her laughing, tears streaming down her face. "Honey, are you okay? Should I call someone?" "I'm perfect," Olivia said, and she meant it. "I'm absolutely perfect." Olivia was discharged 4 days later. She took a cab to what used to be her house, only to find the locks changed and her belongings in boxes on the front lawn. Classy. She called a moving company, had everything put in storage, and checked into a hotel. She had 37 missed calls from her assistant and 62 emails marked urgent, but she ignored all of them. For the first time in 8 years, she was going to take a real vacation. She called her boss, Richard, the CEO of the tech company, where she worked as the chief financial officer. "Olivia, thank God. Are you okay? We heard about the accident."
I'm fine, Richard.
But I need to take my vacation days. All of them. Starting now. There was a pause. Olivia, you have 9 weeks of unused vacation time. Are you sure? Positive. I'll be back when I'm back. Take all the time you need. Your position will be here when you return. We can't afford to lose you. She hung up and booked a flight to Bali. First class. She was done hiding. 3 weeks later, Olivia returned to her city tanned, rested, and ready for war. She'd spent her vacation doing 2 things, meditating on the beach and meeting with the most ruthless divorce attorney in the state via video call. Turns out, Liam's lawyer had made a critical error. In his rush to get the divorce finalized before his wedding, he'd filed the paperwork incorrectly. The settlement wasn't valid, and Olivia hadn't signed a prenup. Her attorney, a shark named Patricia Chen, had smiled like a cat with a canary. This is going to be fun. Olivia's first stop back in the city was her office. She'd been working remotely as CFO for 3 years, ever since the company went fully digital. Liam had no idea where she worked or what she did. She'd told him she was a financial consultant, which wasn't technically a lie, and he'd never asked for details. He'd assumed she made maybe $40,000 a year, enough to contribute to groceries and utilities. Enough to not be completely useless. He had no idea she'd negotiated a salary of $130,000 a year, plus bonuses that usually pushed her total compensation over $160,000. He had no idea she had stock options worth over $500,000. He had no idea she'd been the primary breadwinner in their marriage, that the house he'd just kicked her out of had been purchased primarily with her savings. He had no idea about any of it because she'd hidden it all, kept separate accounts, filed taxes separately, all because 8 years ago he'd told her that men didn't like women who made more money than them. That it was emasculating. That if she wanted their marriage to work, she needed to let him feel like the provider.
So she had.
And look where it got her. Olivia's assistant nearly cried when she walked into the office. "Oh my God, you're alive. We were so worried." "I'm good, Sarah. Better than good." "Is the team ready for the quarterly review?" "Yes, but Olivia, are you sure you should be working? You were in a serious accident." "I've never been more sure of anything in my life." The quarterly review went perfectly. Olivia's division had increased profits by 18%. The board of directors applauded. Richard pulled her aside afterward. "I'm promoting you to senior vice president. 20% raise, effective immediately. You've earned it." Olivia felt something warm bloom in her chest.
Pride.
Recognition. Respect. Things she'd never gotten at home. "Thank you, Richard. I won't let you down." "You never have." That evening, Olivia went apartment hunting. She found a stunning 2-bedroom penthouse with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. The rent was more than Liam's monthly salary. She signed the lease on the spot. Moving day coincided with Liam's wedding day. Olivia knew this because his mother had called her, crying, begging her to stop the wedding. "He's making a mistake, Olivia. That woman is using him. Please, you have to do something." "I signed the papers, Margaret. There's nothing I can do." "But you love him."
Did she?
Olivia wasn't sure anymore. Maybe she'd loved who she thought he was. But the man who'd served her divorce papers in a hospital bed, that wasn't someone worth loving.
"I'm sorry, Margaret."
"I have to go. I have movers coming." She hung up and got back to directing the placement of her new furniture. Expensive furniture. The kind she'd always wanted but never bought because Liam thought it was wasteful. Her phone buzzed. Patricia Chen. "Olivia, Liam's lawyer just called. They want to renegotiate the settlement." "Absolutely not. They're offering you $50,000 to walk away quietly." Olivia laughed, sharp and bitter. "Tell them I'll see them in court." "With pleasure." The court date was set for 6 weeks later. In the meantime, Olivia got on with her life. She had dinner with friends she'd neglected during her marriage. She joined a gym. She started therapy. She bought herself a car, a sleek black BMW that made her feel powerful every time she drove it. She also started dating. Nothing serious, just casual dinners and conversation with men who actually asked her about her work and seemed impressed rather than threatened when she told them about her career. It was revelatory. One night, she was having drinks with a colleague when she spotted Liam across the restaurant. He was with Vanessa, his new wife, and he looked miserable. Vanessa was on her phone, ignoring him, her face pinched with irritation. Olivia watched as Liam tried to get her attention, only to be waved off dismissively. Her colleague followed her gaze. "Is that your ex?" "Unfortunately. He looks like he's having a great time," her colleague said sarcastically. Olivia smiled. "Doesn't he?" She didn't approach them. She didn't need to. But Liam saw her. His eyes went wide, taking in her designer dress, her confident posture, the way she was laughing with an attractive, successful man. He looked like he'd been punched in the gut. Good. The next day, her phone rang. Liam. She let it go to voicemail. He called again. And again. Finally, she answered. "What do you want, Liam?" "We need to talk." "No, we don't. Our lawyers can talk." "Olivia, please. I made a mistake." She almost hung up, but curiosity got the better of her. "What kind of mistake?" "Vanessa. She's not who I thought she was. She's spending all my money. She quit her job the day after the wedding. She says she doesn't need to work now that she's married to a successful man." Olivia couldn't help it. She laughed. "Oh, that's rich. That's really rich, Liam." "It's not funny. I'm drowning in debt. The wedding cost $60,000. She insisted on Bora Bora for the honeymoon. She bought a new car last week without even asking me. I don't know what to do. Here's an idea. Get a job that pays more. Or marry someone with money." "Oh wait, you had that and you threw it away." There was a long silence. "What are you talking about?" "Nothing. Forget it. Was there anything else?" "I saw you last night. At the restaurant. You looked different." "I am different. That dress must have cost a fortune. Where are you getting the money?" Olivia felt that rage again, burning bright. "Goodbye, Liam."
Wait.
"Olivia, I need to ask you something. My lawyer said something weird. He said there's a problem with our settlement. He said you might be entitled to alimony." "That's crazy, right? You didn't work during our marriage. You can't get alimony." "Actually, Liam, I can. Because I did work during our marriage. I worked my ass off while you belittled me and made me feel worthless." "What are you talking about? Your little consulting thing? That was barely a job." "My little consulting thing was a six-figure CFO position at one of the most successful tech companies in the country. I made $130,000 a year, Liam.
Plus bonus.
Plus stock options. I've made more money than you for the past 5 years." The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. "You're lying," he finally said, his voice weak. "I'm not. Check your email. I just had my lawyer send you my tax returns for the past 8 years. While you were complaining about being the sole provider, I was paying 70% of our mortgage. I funded your business when it was failing. I paid for your mother's medical bills. I paid for everything, Liam, and you never even noticed because you were too busy feeling sorry for yourself. That's impossible. You never said anything. You never asked. And when I tried to tell you about my work, you told me it was boring. You told me to stop trying to compete with you. You told me that my job didn't matter because it wasn't as important as yours. So I stopped telling you. I stopped sharing. I made myself invisible because that's what you wanted. Olivia, I didn't know. If I had known, you would have what? Respected me? Valued me? Liam, the problem wasn't that you didn't know how much money I made. The problem was that you didn't respect me regardless of how much money I made. You served me divorce papers in a hospital bed. You kicked me out of a house I paid for. You married someone else 6 weeks later. You don't get to act surprised now that there are consequences. What consequences? What are you going to do? I'm going to take you to court, and I'm going to take everything you tried to take from me. The house, the cars, the retirement accounts. All of it. My lawyer is very good at her job. You can't do this. I'll fight it. With what money, Liam? You just told me you're drowning in debt. She could hear him hyperventilating on the other end of the line. It should have felt good, but mostly she just felt tired. "I have to go," she said softly. "Lose my number." She hung up and blocked his contact. Comment below if you think Liam deserved what was coming to him, because it's about to get even better. The court date arrived on a cold Tuesday morning. Olivia wore her best power suit, navy blue with a crisp white shirt. She looked every inch the successful executive she was. Liam showed up in a wrinkled shirt, dark circles under his eyes, looking like he hadn't slept in weeks. Vanessa wasn't with him. Patricia Chun was magnificent. She presented Olivia's financial records with the precision of a surgeon, methodically destroying every claim Liam's lawyer tried to make. The house had been purchased primarily with Olivia's down payment. The cars had been registered in both names, but paid for with Olivia's bonuses. Even Liam's failed business venture had been funded with Olivia's emergency savings. The judge, a no-nonsense woman in her 60s, looked increasingly disgusted as the evidence piled up. "Mr. Harrison," she finally said, "did you have any knowledge of your wife's income during your marriage?" Liam's lawyer answered for him. "My client was unaware of the extent of Mrs. Harrison's financial contributions." "That's not what I asked. Mr. Harrison, did you know your wife worked?" "Yes, Your Honor." "Did you ever ask her about her job? Her salary? Her career aspirations?" Liam shifted uncomfortably. "I thought it was a small consulting business." "You thought, but you never asked." "No, Your Honor." The judge turned to Olivia. "Mrs. Harrison, why didn't you inform your husband about your income?" Olivia took a breath. This was the moment. "Your Honor, early in our marriage, my husband told me that he found successful women intimidating. He said that men need to feel like providers, and that if I wanted our marriage to work, I should downplay my career ambitions. So I did. I kept separate accounts. I filed taxes separately. I never corrected his assumptions about my income, because I thought I was protecting our marriage. I see now that I was protecting his ego at the expense of my own dignity." The judge nodded slowly. "Mrs. Harrison, I'm going to tell you something my mother told me when I graduated law school. Never make yourself smaller to make a man feel bigger. You'll both end up diminished." "Yes, Your Honor. I've learned that lesson." The ruling was swift and decisive. Olivia was awarded the house, both cars, and 60% of the retirement accounts. Liam was ordered to pay her $20,000 for her legal fees and the cost of her hospital stay that he'd refused to help with. The judge also noted that if Liam chose to appeal, Olivia would be well within her rights to seek additional compensation for emotional distress. Liam looked like he was going to be sick. Outside the courthouse, Patricia shook Olivia's hand. "That was one of the most satisfying cases of my career. Congratulations." "Thank you for everything. What are you going to do now?" Olivia looked up at the sky, clear and blue, and full of possibilities. "I'm going to live my life. Loudly.
Proudly.
Without apologizing for taking up space." "Good for you." Olivia walked to her car, heels clicking on the pavement, and for the first time in 8 years, she felt free. 6 months later, Olivia was thriving. She'd sold the house, unable to stomach living somewhere with so many bad memories, and used the profit as a down payment on a beautiful townhouse in the city. She'd been promoted again at work, this time to executive vice president with a corner office and a salary that made her dizzy when she thought about it too much. She'd also started a foundation for women leaving abusive marriages, offering financial counseling and legal support. It turned out that hiding her success hadn't just hurt her, it had prevented her from helping other women in similar situations. She was determined to change that. Her phone rang one afternoon while she was reviewing budgets. Her assistant's voice came through the speaker. "Olivia, you have a visitor." "A Liam Harrison? He doesn't have an appointment, but he says it's urgent." Olivia's first instinct was to say no, to have security escort him out. But curiosity won again. "Send him in." Liam looked terrible. He'd lost weight, his clothes hung off him, and there was a desperate energy to his movements that made her uncomfortable. "Thank you for seeing me," he said, hovering near the door like he wasn't sure if he was allowed to come in. "You have 5 minutes." He glanced around her office, taking in the expensive furniture, the wall of awards and commendations, the view of the city skyline. "This is your office?" "Yes." "It's incredible." Olivia, I'm so sorry. I had no idea about any of this. You had every opportunity to find out. You chose not to. I know. I was an idiot. A blind, arrogant idiot. Vanessa left me last month. Turns out she was only interested in my money, and once she realized I didn't have any, she filed for divorce. I've lost everything. The house we were renting, my car, my credit is destroyed. I'm living with my mother. Olivia felt a flicker of sympathy, but it was distant, muted. This man had been her husband, her partner, and yet looking at him now, he felt like a stranger. I'm sorry to hear that, Liam. But I don't understand why you're telling me this. I was hoping maybe we could try again. I know I don't deserve it, but I've changed. I see things differently now. I respect you. I see how amazing you are. You respect me now that you know I have money.
No.
That's not what I meant, isn't it? Liam, you didn't respect me when you thought I was poor. You didn't respect me when I was in the hospital. You didn't respect me when you married another woman 6 weeks after our divorce. You only respect me now because I have something you want. That's not respect. That's opportunism. Olivia, please. I love you. No, you don't. You love the idea of financial security. You love not having to face the consequences of your choices.
But you don't love me.
You never did. That's not true. Liam, when is my birthday? He blinked. What? My birthday. When is it? It's in the spring, right? It's in October. We were married for 8 years, and you don't know when my birthday is. What's my favorite color? Blue. Green. What do I do for fun? What are my hobbies? What are my dreams? He stared at her, speechless. You don't know me, Liam. You never bothered to learn. And I don't want to be with someone who only sees me as a supporting character in their story. I'm the protagonist of my own life now, and there's no room for you in it.
So, that's it?
You're just going to let me suffer? I'm not letting you do anything. Your suffering is a consequence of your own choices. You chose to cheat. You chose to divorce me in a hospital. You chose to marry a woman you barely knew. Those choices had consequences. That's not my fault, and it's not my responsibility to save you from them. Liam's face crumpled. For a moment, she thought he might cry, but then his expression hardened. You've changed, he said bitterly. You're cold now. Mean.
No, Liam.
I've just stopped setting myself on fire to keep you warm. There's a difference. He left without another word. Olivia watched him go, and all she felt was relief. She'd spent so many years making herself small, hiding her light, pretending to be less than she was. Never again. Her assistant peeked in. You okay, boss? I'm perfect, Olivia said, and she meant it. That evening, Olivia had dinner with her team to celebrate closing a major deal. They went to the same restaurant where she'd seen Liam months ago, and this time when she walked in, heads turned. She was radiant, confident, surrounded by people who respected and valued her. Midway through dinner, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I hope you're happy. You've ruined my life. She deleted it without responding and turned her phone face down. Everything okay? Her colleague asked. Everything's great, Olivia said, raising her glass. To new beginnings. To new beginnings, the table echoed. And for the first time in a very long time, Olivia felt genuinely happy. Not the performative happiness she'd faked during her marriage, but real, bone-deep contentment. She'd lost a husband, but she'd found herself. And that was worth everything. If this story inspired you or made you think about your own worth, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about people who refuse to stay down. Drop a comment telling me what you would have done in Olivia's situation because I love reading your thoughts. And remember, never make yourself smaller to make someone else comfortable. You deserve to take up space. You deserve to be seen. And you deserve someone who celebrates your success instead of resenting it. Olivia's story didn't end with revenge. It ended with something better. Liberation. She built a life she loved, surrounded herself with people who valued her, and never again apologized for being successful. Liam's calls and texts eventually stopped. His mother stopped reaching out. And Olivia stopped thinking about him at all. 3 years later, Olivia met someone new. His name was James, and he was a high school teacher with a passion for literature and a laugh that made her feel warm inside. When she told him about her job on their first date, he leaned forward, genuinely interested, and asked her a dozen questions about financial strategy and corporate culture. When she mentioned her salary, he whistled appreciatively and said, "That's incredible. You must have worked so hard to get there." It was such a simple response, but it made her want to cry. Because yes, she had worked hard. And it felt amazing to be with someone who saw that as something to celebrate rather than something to hide. On their 6-month anniversary, James cooked her dinner at his apartment. It was modest but cozy, filled with books and plants and warmth. Over dessert, he took her hand. "I need to tell you something," he said nervously. "Okay. I know you make a lot more money than I do. Like a lot more. And I just want you to know that it doesn't bother me. At all. I think it's amazing. I think you're amazing. And I will never, ever ask you to be anything other than exactly who you are." Olivia felt tears prick her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. "I mean it, Olivia. I don't need to be the provider or the big shot or whatever. I just want to be your partner. Your equal. In the ways that actually matter." She kissed him then, and it felt like coming home. They got engaged a year later. The wedding was small and intimate, just close friends and family. Margaret, Liam's mother, sent a card with a heartfelt apology and a check for $5,000. "For the wedding you deserved the first time," the note said. Olivia deposited the check and donated it to her foundation. She heard through the grapevine that Liam had moved to another state and was working as a junior accountant somewhere. Vanessa had remarried, this time to an actual wealthy man, and Liam was apparently still single. Olivia felt nothing when she heard the news.
No satisfaction, no vindication, no lingerem biternis.
Just nothing. He was a chapter in her life that had closed, and she had no interest in rereading it. At her wedding reception, Olivia gave a speech that made everyone cry. "I used to think that love meant making yourself smaller," she said, looking at James with so much affection it made her heart ache. "I thought it meant hiding parts of yourself to make someone else comfortable. But that's not love. That's self-erasure. Real love makes you bigger, braver, more yourself. It sees all of you and celebrates every part. I'm so grateful to have found that. And I'm so grateful I didn't settle for anything less." James wiped tears from his eyes and mouthed, "I love you. I love you too," she mouthed back. Later that night, as they were leaving the reception, Olivia's assistant ran up to her. "Sorry to bother you on your wedding day, but Richard called. The board voted. They want you to be the new CEO." Olivia's eyes went wide. "What?" "Of the whole company. Richard is retiring, and they want you to take over. Congratulations, boss." James wrapped his arm around her waist, beaming with pride. "That's incredible." Olivia felt dizzy with joy. Of a multi-million-dollar company. It was everything she'd ever dreamed of and more than she'd ever dared to hope for. "I need to call him," she said, already reaching for her phone. "Tomorrow," James said gently, taking the phone from her hand. "Tonight, you're just my wife. Tomorrow, you can be CEO of the world." She laughed and let him lead her to their car, her heart so full it felt like it might burst. As they drove away, Olivia looked back at the venue one last time. Somewhere out there, Liam was living with his choices. Somewhere out there, women were still making themselves smaller for men who didn't deserve them. But not her. Never again. She'd learned the hardest way possible that she was enough, just as she was. Successful, ambitious, brilliant, and worthy of love that didn't ask her to dim her light. And that was the real happy ending. Not revenge. Not vindication. Just the quiet, powerful knowledge that she had always been enough, and anyone who couldn't see that didn't deserve her. Thanks so much for watching this story. If you enjoyed it, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you never miss another story. Drop a comment and let me know what you think. Should Olivia have taken Liam back? What would you have done differently? I read every single comment, and I love hearing from you. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message about knowing their worth, share this video with them. Sometimes we all need a reminder that we don't have to make ourselves smaller for anyone. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.